Good afternoon, All Saints Dallas. I'm Mike Blanchat, the Executive Administrator of All Saints, and I'm coming to you this afternoon to do my part in this series that we've had this month, looking at different ministry areas of the church and explaining what we do and why we do it. So, as I said, I'm the Executive Administrator. What does that mean? And I've been doing this since 2017. That means I am, along with David Hickman, Lydia Ito, Angela Thames, Adrian Smith, Brandon Fountain, Ronald Gray, responsible for the building budget and finances of the church, where different people in that group do different things. So I report to Philip and the Board of Stewards and the finance team. I'll get back to the finance team. I think everybody knows who Philip and the board is, but the short way to explain what I do, Dave Larley, rector at St. Bart's, used to be our vicar here at All Saints, used to say, if the plumbing's broke, call Blanchat. If the plumber is broke, call me. So what we deal with are all the temporal things that affect how we can do ministry. An important part of that is integrating everything we do there with ministry. So what's the state of All Saints Dallas's building budget finance? And I'll do them kind of in reverse order. We're obviously a growing church. We're growing in attendance. We're between 450 and 500 adults on Sundays now. I think our average is actually like 443. We have 150 kids on Sunday. Our giving is growing. The trailing 12 months giving to All Saints is about $3.5 million. Just to give you some perspective on that, when I started, our entire budget for the year was $1.7 million. So in the last 7 or 8 years, we've obviously grown significantly. All that giving, once we receive all that, goes into a budget process, which we're actually about to start here in February, March. David Hickman will sit with all the ministry leaders and talk through the coming ministry year. What have we learned from the year past? What are we preparing to do going forward? Then he and I, David and I, will sit with Philip, with Dustin, and with the finance team and say, how does all this look? Does this fit into what we're trying to do from a ministry standpoint? And does this fit into what we're trying to do from a budget standpoint? If everything works right, a budget goes to the finance team in May, which they approve with some recommendations or questions, that ends up in the board's hands in June. And the board passes that budget for the next fiscal year. We're on a fiscal year system at All Saints. So our budget year starts on July 1 and ends on June 30th. I promised I would explain the All Saints finance team. That is a group of lay leaders, typically people with some kind of financial background, legally, business, accounting, that meet once a month before the board meeting and reviews a 20-page report that David Hickman produces about the last month and about the year to date. So everything budget related, what we've spent, what's been given to the church, what we anticipate happening in the near future. The finance team reviews that, passes their recommendations onto the board, and then the board reviews that and asks any questions, make any adjustments that they'd want to make. The finance team is also part of a process. We're an ECFA, and I always have to write this down, the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability. We're an ECFA approved church. What does that mean? So it means we're audited once a year by a company called Cape & Krause, which is a national company. This is true for the Anglican Mission also. And basically what they look at is our financials, obviously, from a traditional audit standpoint, but also from a nonprofit church standpoint. Are we actually doing what we say we're going to be doing, whether it's with restricted funds, using best practices in hiring in, I'll give you an example. The gold standard for a percentage of budget that you spend on salary and benefits is 53%. All Saints Dallas spends 48% on salary and budget, so we're well within that gold standard um, setup. Another example of that would be the gold standard is having 180 days of cash on hand. That's to deal with any of the crazy stuff which we've dealt with, like with COVID here recently. And we've maintained that standard 180 days plus, at least since I've been here, since 2017. So the church is healthy, we're audited. All that really falls into a mindset about the finances of the church, which is, and this was passed on to me and David from the founders of All Saints, the people that used to do this. We're going to be transparent, we're going to be accountable, and we're going to be good stewards. So all that works together. We do some not unusual, but we take that seriously. We take our donors seriously. I'm one of them too, and I like to know this about All Saints. But no one person can do anything budget-wise. We can't write a check. You can't count the Sunday offering. You can't approve an expense without another person's agreement on that. So we've set up all our systems, so multi-factor authentication, I guess you'd call it. And we realize most of this is pretty boring, but all of it's necessary if we are going to be transparent, accountable, and good stewards. Last bit is the building. How most of us experience the church. A lot of this stuff is happening behind the scenes, but every Sunday morning we come into this building. That process is led by Adrian Smith with help from Mike McGee, Brandon Fountain, and Ronald Gray. So we clean the building, set up and break down for events, maintain our equipment, our rooftop units, everything else that we do to make this building work, and then coordinate with our vendors. If we don't do something ourselves, we have a vendor that does that. So when you see those fellows on Sunday, make sure you say thank you, especially I would say to Adrian Smith. Adrian gets the donut holes on Sunday morning. And it's my theory that Christendom would collapse if we didn't have donut holes on Sunday morning. So let me close by expressing my gratitude, our gratitude for the chance to serve All Saints. It's a great, growing, exciting, spirit-filled church home. Kiss and I love living our lives with you. Please feel free at any time to reach out to me if you have any questions about all this stuff. Sometimes you really are interested in something, you realize it's kind of a boring question, but not to us. I'd love to sit with you and explain how we do, as Philip says, on building, budget, and finance. We live in God's presence and live out His love. Peace.